This video file is recorded in Sabancı University during the recitations for the CS201 Introduction to Computing course, as it was given in the fall 2016 semester.
Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome back for the 12th week. We have only 2 weeks left, including this one we have 3 weeks more. So I know you're a bit tired. You had your midterm 2 days ago. I know it was a bit tricky, but it wasn't hard. It was doable. That's why you had, I think, approximately 3 hours or so, less than that. As you saw, the questions, the samples that we covered during the recitations were sufficient for you to do the midterm. And we're going to continue with something new, something which actually is not very new, for the exception of the vector class and the arrays. We are going to see that during the second lecture, I think. But in the first lecture, this one, we're going to do only 1 or 2 sample codes, and you will need them for your homework, okay? Today, you're also going to do some coding. That's why we are not going to cover more than 4 sample codes today, during all of the 3 lectures, because you're going to write your codes here in class, okay? And please remind me, although it was part of my program for today, to explain the homework. What should you do? You know that the deadline is tomorrow, and homeworks are very important, not only for the grade, but also for you to learn, and if you learn, you can do your exams, okay? So, I mean, doing your exam well and getting good points should not be your aim. Your aim should be to learn something from CS201. And good points and good grades should be used as a tool, and it should not be its aim itself. Alright, so I hope you have downloaded your codes. And let's go with the first example, which is called separate sentences. But first let me remind you some stuff about classes that we are going to use here. You remember the class Ifstream, input file stream. Basically, with this class, we could open a file and we could read it. It has some member functions, and the most important member functions of this file were the open. When we try to open the file, it takes as a parameter the name of the file we're trying to open. Of course, we might not open it, so this is open. If we fail to open it, meaning the file does not exist, hard disk is damaged, and so on and so on. Then we have another function which is called fail. It returns 0 or 1, true or false, regardless of whether we have opened or not the file we wanted to open. Then we have operator Ifstream, this operator, arrow, arrow, the arrow operator, for reading data, words one by one. There is another queued operator called another queued member function. So operator stream is also a member function. Get char, get ch. It gets characters. So this one gets words, meaning a bunch of characters separated by empty space. But get ch, get character, takes only 1 character at a time. And it returns 0 or 1. It returns 0 if we cannot get any character anymore. If it gets the character, if it can take a character from the input file, it returns 1. As a parameter, it takes a reference to a character, to a char. Write it better. Meaning that the character that we are going to get from the input file is stored in this character, in this variable here. But also it returns 0 if there is character that we can take, or 1, 0 if we cannot get it. If you are in the end of the file and we are trying to get character, it will fail, so it will return 0. But if it can take a character, it will return 1, and the character will be put here. That's why we pass the data as a parameter. The same members apply for the class OFSTREAM. And this class, as you might remember, is used to store data in an output, to create an output and write something on that output. When I say output, I mean it's a file. That's why it's OFSTREAM, output file stream. Same thing apply here. We should, in order to write something in a new file, we have to open it. By open, I mean like we create it if it does not exist. If it exists, we just write it from the beginning. Usually you delete everything. So if you want to write something in a file, and if you open it, if you write from the beginning, you delete the previous content, and you write something new. If you fail to create a new file, I mean, if you try to create a new file, but there's no space, you cannot do it. You are not allowed to do it. Restrictions, if you have heard about Unix, there is some access restriction, read-write access. So sometimes you cannot access a file. You cannot create something new. You have restrictions. So this might return 0 or 1, whether it has failed or not in creating the file. If it has failed, it returns 1. If it's not failed, if it has failed, yeah, it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. If you can open and create a file. Operator, input stream, output stream actually. So this is for reading, for taking from the file and put it into a word or string or whatever. And this is for putting to the file, for writing to the file. That's why we have this operator here. What else do we have here? Well, this should be all. In the end, you close usually. You should close this one also, but if you don't close the IFstream class, it's not a problem. But some compilers, if you don't close the file you've just created, it won't store it in your hard disk, okay? So you will have it in your RAM memory, but you will not have it in your hard disk. And you have it in your hard disk when you close it. It works like this, not always, some compilers. That's why it's, at least if you don't do it in the IFstream class, at least try to close your file in the OFSTREAM class. What else? This should be it. Now let's go with the first example for today. It's called sentence separate. So let's start a new project. You should write this one. I mean, most of the code is written, but you should write it also. So go to the 12th week, this folder, separate sentences. Copy paste everything here. So I'm selecting all, I'm copying it, and let's go to the solution folder of the project and paste it here. Okay, now add those items in your project. So I'm adding the prompt, CPP in the header, and separate sentences. Now let's see what is this code doing. I'm going to show you the demo of this code. So this is the output of this code. Let me enlarge the font first. The font will be 12 by 16. Okay, at first we're asking for an input file. Our input will be this one. Okay? And what are we going to do? We are going to get an output. So as you can see in this folder here, I don't have any other data, any other txt files, except for those two input files. One is for the sample we are just doing now, the input sentence.txt file. But we don't have any output for that. And the other one is input arrange. We will see it in the next example. So I'm going to give this the name of the file as an input. So the name was input sentences, yes, input sentences.txt. Now I should enter an output file. Let's say it will be output sample1 or output sentences. We don't have it, but we are going to create it. .txt. We did it, and we have it here. You see, it was just created. When the program finished, when the file was closed, we just created it. So let's see what do we have here and what's the difference between them. So this is the input, this is the output. What did we do? Can you figure out what did we do? Yeah, the content is the same. When I say the content, I mean The words, the sentences are the same. But what did we do here?
Separate name for each sentence.
Exactly. That's why the name is input sentences. For each sentence we send it to a new line. We create it in a new line. And by sentence mean everything which is from the beginning up to a full stop. Okay? If I say a full stop, I mean that means that the sentence is finished there. Okay? So you see the first sentence finished with recent magazines, full stop at the first file. At the second file, it also finished there. Okay. I start with jot down the editors, blah blah blah. Jot down the editors is in a new line. Your job is the following: to write a program that will take the first file as an input, and it will create an output with those properties. We have the code, but you should do some changes there. Very small changes. So this is the code. We have two variables, input and output. The first is Ifstream and the second is OFSTREAM correspondingly. Okay? So we prompt for the name here. Okay? Enter input file name. You remember I entered the input file name here. So where was that? Input sentences, I don't see it. Never mind. What happened to that file? I don't know. Okay, never mind. So remember I prompted for the file name, for the input file name, and I gave it. I also prompted for I asked from the user to enter the output file name, and I gave it. So first I tried to open the input file using the open function, the member function which all of the classes have. You remember you pass it as a copy string. I'll tell you what a copy string is in the second lecture. Remind me if I forget. So I open it. If I fail to open it, I try to open it here. If I fail to open it, that means that this fail is going to return true. And if this is true, if I'm not going to open it, then I'm just printing this type that cannot open file, blah, blah, blah. And I don't go to process anything. But if fail fails, meaning if fail returns false, meaning that the file is successfully opened, then I go here and I open the output file. Of course, I try for the output file whether I failed or not, whether I have restrictions to create a new file or I don't have enough of memory or whatever. So if I fail to open the output file, I'll print this one and the program terminates. However, if I create the output file, then this is basically the core of this code, the most important part of this code. We should write this stuff here. So what I'm doing is the following. I'm getting characters one by one, and if blah, 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 you should do blah, blah, blah. Meaning that I'm trying to put a new sentence, each sentence in a new line. And how do I know that the sentence has finished? If I've taken a full stop, that means that the sentence is over. And when I see a full stop, if I see a full stop, then I'm sending the rest in a new line. So what I'm going to do. Again, you remember the function get takes char one by one, characters one by one. And you remember for the output file, in order to put something in an output file, you use this operator, okay? We did it last week. So, how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? Any ideas? Let me write the input here, or let me show it, the real data. So we are this is the input file, okay? And we are taking characters one by one. So we take W first, then H, and so on. We take characters one by one, and the same characters that we take, we send them to the output, as you can see. We send them to the output. However, if I take a full stop, yeah, I also send it to the output here, but I will go also to a new line, okay? This is the difference, nothing else. So? Exactly. And how do you add it? Yes. Then? Arrows and line. Exactly. Try it at your laptops. If it works, nice. So if the character is equal to a dot, what do we do? Output new line. But characters are written not with double quotation marks, with single quotation marks, so it's like this. But what if it's not a dot? We should print it anyway. We should put everything as it is, so output the character. This is it. Okay, so from the input file, everything that we take, everything that we take W, we put W. We take H, we put H. E, E, N. Everything that we take with get char, we also output it. We put it to the output file. Plus, if we take a full stop, we just send a new line. This is it. Okay? So if I take a full stop here, I took everything up until the full stop. When I take a full stop, I write the full stop also, and I go to a new line and continue writing. So I write the output, whatever the output is. I mean, I write the character, whatever the character is that I've already read. And if it's a full stop, then I go to a new line. This is it. So let me run the code. I'm not sure whether I don't have, oh yeah, I have it. Okay, so this is prompt asking for me to give the input name. I think here it's called input.txt. So I'm giving the input.txt. Output file, it's going to be rtrim.txt. We didn't have it previously. And this is it. Now let's go to the solution folder. You see that we didn't have the rtrim.txt file, which is our output. Let's open it. And let's see whether it's working, whether it gives the desired output. Yeah, it gives the desired output. Did you try it in your computers? Is it working? No? Let me check what's the problem.
It gave me an error.
Yeah, because as I told you, characters are not written in.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
And also, so if it's a new line, then you should do something like this. Output. You print. You go to a new line if it's a full stop. Okay. But if it's not a full stop, or even if it is a full stop, you write it also. So you just, if it's a full stop, you just add an extra new line, nothing else. So if you can get a character, you get it. You print the character to the output, okay? But if it's a full stop, you go to a new line.
Okay.
So it's as simple as that. Did you understand the code? Yeah? What about you? Is it clear? Did you understand the code? Okay. Because you're going to have for your sixth homework, you're going to deal with input and output files simultaneously at the same time. Okay, now let's close this stuff. So it was working. If you understood this, then we should go with another example, and that's called Arrange.cpp. So what you should do is the following. I'm going to show you the demo, and you should write your code from scratch, from the beginning. I'll give time for you to do that. So I'm giving, you see this input here for the arrange example. This is our input. I'm giving this as an input, the name of the file, which is called input. Let me make a mistake. I'm giving input and something else, .txt. So I cannot open the file. That's why I get this error. Cannot open file, blah, 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 okay? But now let me be correct and give the desired input. So it's input. That's why as a programmer you should take into consideration all the scenarios, all the possible scenarios. We have not taken all the possible scenarios in this example though. There are much, much more. So input arrange.txt. What is going to be the name of the file? You see we don't have any output arrange.txt here. I'm going to create it now. So output, the program is going to create it. I just give the name of that. I want it to be called output arrange.txt, and this is it. We have it here. So output arrange is this, and input arrange is this one. So let's see what have we done here. Can you figure out what we have done here? What? Can you be a bit louder? Exactly. If there is new line between the paragraphs, between the lines, unnecessary new lines, we delete them. Okay? So your job will be pretty much similar to the first one that we did. But now we're not looking for full stops. We are looking for what? New line. A new line is written like this. I mean, it's expressed like this. This is a new line. Although we have two symbols, it's one character. Okay? So you should do it from scratch, from the beginning. You have how many minutes? 15. Oh, let's say 40 minutes. Can you do it? It will be counted to your activity, of course, that you'll get for your recitations. Try to do it, because it will be a kind of a warm-up for you for the homeworks. Of course, for the finals as well. You can stop it, yeah.